Hi everyone, and welcome back to English. I'm really happy to share with you text 8 in our sample text for part 3 essay practice. The passage is titled All the Light We Cannot See. Remember, the first time we read for step 1 on our PowerPoint, we're reading and underlining anything interesting or important to determine and identify a central idea. The second time we read, we're reading for a different purpose. In PowerPoint step 2, we are reading to identify a literary element and to find 2 examples of that literary element. Let's make sure our materials are set up today for our reading. Our blue packets should be opened up to text 8 for all the light we cannot see, and we should have our pens and pencils ready to underline anything interesting or important, and also be looking for that central idea and literary element. Let's begin. Text 8. All the light we cannot see. The following excerpt is taken from a novel set in France during the World War II era. 16 paces or steps to the water fountain, 16 back. 42 to the stairwell, 42 back. Marie Laure draws maps in her head, unreels 100 yards of imaginary twine, and then turns and reels it back in. Botany smells like glue and blotter paper and pressed flowers. Paleontology smells like rock dust, bone dust. Biology smells like formalin and old fruit. It is loaded with heavy cool jars in which float things she has only had described for her. The pale coiled ropes of rattlesnakes, the severed hands of gorillas. What now? Entomology smells like mothballs and oil, a preservative that Dr. Gefford explains is called naphthalene. Offices smell of carbon paper, or cigarette smoke, or brandy, or perfume, or all four. She follows cables and pipes, railings and ropes, hedges and sidewalks. She startles people. She never knows if the lights are on. The children she meets brim with questions. Does it hurt? Do you shut your eyes to sleep? How do you know what time it is? It doesn't hurt, she explains, and there is no darkness, not the kind they imagine. Everything is composed of webs and lattices and upheavals of sound and texture. She walks a circle around the grand gallery, navigating between squeaking floorboards. She hears feet tramp up and down museum staircases. A toddler squeal, the groan of a weary grandmother lowering herself onto a bench. Color. That's another thing people don't expect. In her imagination, in her dreams, everything has color. The museum buildings are beige, chestnut, hazel. Its scientists are lilac and lemon yellow and fox brown. Piano chords lull in the speaker of the wireless in the guard station, projecting rich blacks and complicated blues down the hall towards the key pound, which is her father's office. Her father works in the museum as a locksmith. Church bells send arcs of bronze careening off the windows. Bees are silver, pigeons are ginger and auburn, and occasionally golden. The huge cypress trees she and her father pass on their morning walk are shimmering kaleidoscopes, each needle a polygon of light. We're at line 26. She has no memories of her mother, but imagines her as white, a soundless brilliance. Her father radiates 1,000 colors: opal, strawberry red, deep russet, wild green, a smell like oil and metal, the feel of a lock tumbler sliding home, the sound of his key rings chiming as he walks. He is an olive green when he talks to a department head, an escalating series of oranges when he speaks to Mademoiselle Fleury from the greenhouses, a bright red when he tries to cook. He glows sapphire or deep blue when he sits over his workbench in the evenings, humming almost inaudibly as he works, the tip of his cigarette gleaming a prismatic blue. She gets lost. Secretaries or botanists, and once the director's assistant, bring her back to the key pound, which again is her father's office in the museum. She is curious. She wants to know the difference between an alga and a lichen, a Diplodon charruenus and a Diplodon diledontus. Famous men take her by the elbow and escort her through the gardens or guide her up the stairwells. I have a daughter too, they'll say, or I found her among the hummingbirds. Toutes mes excuses. In French, her father says, my apologies. He lights a cigarette. He plucks key after key out of her pockets. What, he whispers, am I going to do with you? On her 9th birthday, when she wakes, she finds 2 gifts. The first is a wooden box with no opening she can detect. She turns it this way and that. It takes her a little while to realize one side is spring-loaded. She presses it and the box flips open. Inside waits a single cube of creamy camembert cheese that she pops directly into her mouth. So her father gives her like a wooden puzzle box that she has to figure out how to open. And it's got a little prize inside, which is a little cube of cheese. French people love their cheese. All right, guys, let's go ahead and flip the page. So the puzzle box was too easy, her father says, laughing. The second gift is heavy, wrapped in paper and twine. Inside is a massive spiral bound book in Braille. Now, do you guys know that Braille is like this dotty thing that blind people can use to read? It's like raised paper dots. And she got a super, super big book of Braille. Going back to the text. They said it's for boys or very adventurous girls. She can hear him smiling. She slides her fingertips across the embossed or stamped title page. She feels it with her finger like this. Around the world in 80 days. Papa, it's too expensive. That's for me to worry about. That morning, Marie Lore crawls beneath the counter of the Key Pound and lies on her stomach and sets all 10 fingers on a line in a page. The French feels old-fashioned, the dots printed much closer together than she's used to. But after a week, it becomes easy. She finds the ribbon she uses as a bookmark, opens the book, and the museum falls away. At line 55, the last paragraph, she's going to talk about the book that she's reading in Braille, Around the World in 80 Days. Mr. Fogg is a character in that book. Mysterious Mr. Fogg lives his life like a machine. Jean Passepartout becomes his obedient valet or helper. When after 2 months she reaches the novel's last line, she flips back to the first page and starts again. At night, she runs her fingertip over her father's model, the bell tower, the display windows. She imagines Jules Verne's characters walking along the streets, chatting in shops. A half-inch tall baker slides little tiny speck-sized loaves in and out of his ovens. 3 minuscule burglars hatch plans as they drive slowly past the jewelers. Little grumbling cars throng the street de Mirabel, wipers sliding back and forth. Behind a 4th-floor window on the Rue des Patriarches, a mini version of her father sits at a miniature workbench in their miniature apartment, just as he does in real life, sanding away at some very small, infinitesimal piece of wood. Across the room is a miniature girl, skinny, quick-witted, an open book in her lap. Inside her chest pulses something huge, something full of longing, something unafraid. So in her heart, she's got something pulsing. In her chest is her heart, and it's huge, and it's full of wishes, and it's unafraid, which is a pretty cool way to describe this little girl, Marie Lore. This was actually a full book written that I read the whole book, really enjoyed it. I strongly recommend it. It's written by a man named Anthony Doerr. The full book is called All the Light We Cannot See from 2014 by the publishing house Scribner. I hope you guys enjoyed this excerpt. Let's get ready to come back together as a full class. Bye, everyone.